Alright, so I thought I'd show a little bit. I'm playing around with Supabase here, and thought I'd create a Swift project using it, so we'll jump in here and get started. First, we want to sign in. I'm going to use GitHub to sign in, if it works here. Alright, so we'll create a new project. Oh, that's not what I wanted. We'll call this Supabase to-dos. You want to type a password in here, so uh, pick your region you want it. We're going to use just the free tier, since really the goal is to just play around with everything and see how it works. So once you create a project, we have some values here that we'll end up needing. And the thing about Supabase that I like is that it's based on Postgres. You could create databases. Our piece that we'll primarily focus on today will be authentication. Um, and so let's jump into our Swift project here, which is just a blank project. We're going to be using the composable architecture style. So we are going to want to add packages to our project. So let's see, we're going to add the composable architecture, and I am going to use the pre-release 1.0 branch. Next, we also want to use the Supabase community SDK. So let me grab this URL. And we'll add it as a package as well. Just getting it all loaded and set up here, sorry. Perfect. So now let's create a group for dependencies. So these will be what we set up to sort of connect to Supabase and our project. So we'll create a new one and call it client. Here we are going to want to import dependencies from the composable architecture. We're going to need to import Supabase. And so let's create a Supabase client key. It's going to hold a client, which will be a function, and will return us a Supabase client. Not sure why that's oh. Okay. And then we want to make this a dependency key. Let's see, we also need to import the XC test dynamic overlay. This is a static var. And we are going to do unimplemented. And then down in this file, we also need to, let's see, to get this happy, we need a live value here. And we're just going to set it to test value for a second. And let's see. Here we need to get some values off of Supabase. Let's see, where is, here, go. So we need our project URL. And we need a the anonymous key that we use to connect to the Supabase client. So put that in here, and then our live value, we are going to create a client with our URL we just created and our key that we just created. And we will return that client as our live dependency. We then have to extend the dependency values. We're going to say a client is a function that returns a Supabase client. Supabase client. This little dance is just what you do on the composable architecture. And so that will be our client, and we can actually make this file private. All right, so that should allow us to connect. Let's see. Let's create a new group for models. We'll know that we will need something that will hold credentials, so let's make a credentials model. And we will do credentials, make it equatable, need an email, and we will need a password. Okay. And so then we also want to create another dependency that is going to be our auth client. Here we need to import dependencies. We need to import go true from Supabase and also XC test dynamic overlay. So then we are going to create an auth client. It's going to need a way to create a user, take some credentials, and it's going to return a user, which this is supplied by the go true client. We are going to want it to hold on to an authenticated session. So the session also comes from GoTrue. And let's see, we will want a login, credentials, and this returns a session. Let's see, we will also want to log out. And all these are async. Let's see, let's also give access to current user. If we're logged in, we'll return a current user and a session. So let's see here, we need to extend this for dependency key. So let's see, a test value. We want all these to be unimplemented. I'm not going to put descriptions in here at the time being, or placeholders, however, that would be what you would normally want to do. And then also, let's just set that temporarily while we create the actual implementation of the auth client. But we can go ahead and extend dependency values, call this auth. All right, so let's see. Now I need to make something that's going to hold onto the actual live implementation of the auth client. So I'm going to make a file private actor. We'll call this auth session. It's going to need a client. Supabase client. Did I? Import Supabase. Let's see, and then we will have a session. If we're logged in, the session will be populated. So then we will init client. All right, and then, so now we need to implement all these methods on our actor. So we'll do, actually, create user. Let's see, so this will be credentials, and we will return a user. And so response equals try await client dot auth dot sign up using our credentials email and our credentials dot password. So this gives us a response, and then we need to switch the response. So if it's a session, we want our self.session equals session, return session.user. So then if we get back a user, we will just return the user. All right, so there's that one. And then if, let's see, we want function current user. No, this can actually just be a variable current user. We will say session.user. And so then we need to implement the login. So, oh, I also want login try await self.login. No. So what this login method is going to do is if we're going to try to log in without credentials if we've logged in the past, and this will just be a better way to sort of call that on our client object. But here we need a function to log in with credentials. And this will return a session. Let's see. All right, so we want to make sure we have credentials, else we're going to, just try, return try await client.auth.session. Okay. So this right here will fail if we haven't logged in before, but if we have gotten credentials here, then we need to let's see, do try await client.auth.sign in with the email and the password. And then, oh, actually we need, let's see, we actually need to hold on to this self.session equals session. Actually, we could just do then return self.session. So then let's see, self.session equals, so in this line here we're signing in, and honestly this may, oh yeah, so this does give us back a session. So let's see, let's say self.session equals that, and then we return self.session. Yeah, so we need to force unwrap those because we'll either fail on these lines or we'll have an actual session here that we can return. And so then we want to store the session on ourselves so that we know that authentication has passed. Clean that up a little bit. So then what else? We need to, so that's our login. We need to be able to log out. So we're going to check if we have a session. Else we just return and don't do anything. Otherwise we will, let's see, try await client.auth.sign out. That'll take care of that. Okay, so that should be it. Now we want there to only be one of these auth sessions throughout the life of our application. And so what I am going to do is create a instance of this. We'll call it auth session. So we're going to make a little function here that we just automatically call. We need to use our dependency, our client dependency, to create this thing. And so return auth session client is a client. Okay, so there we have an instance. Return self.init. All right, now we have to make an actual auth client, so we will try await auth session dot create user with our passed in credentials, and then let's see, await auth session dot current user, auth session dot log in with the passed in credentials, and then we will do a logout and a await auth session dot session, right? Yeah, there we go. So we need to make the session not be private there, even though all this stuff is just private to this file, so no one else will be able to access it. So that gives us our dependencies there. All right, so now we can start creating some views. So let's create a group here for, we'll call this logged out feature. And let's see, we need a login view. Oh, I should actually, let's actually create it with the Swift UI template here, save us a little bit of boilerplate. All right, so now in our views are where we're going to actually use our dependencies. Let's make sure all this stuff loads up. We're going to need the composable architecture. Oh, got it. So these need to... I guess I messed up here. So I'm making this key private and just returning the client that it holds on to here as the dependency value, and I forgot to list that. Looks like I also have a typo right there. So let's see. All right, so now we need to make our view model, which in the composable architecture, you hold on to a state and an action. So we'll make a struct, we'll call it login, and it needs to be a reducer. So it's going to have a state, and in here we need to have a binding state of credentials. Let's see, I need to make an empty. So let's go over here and we will make a static var empty. Here we go. So this is just an empty credentials object that we can use in our login view here. And then we need an enum action, which also needs to be equatable, and also needs to be a bindable action. And it has a binding action. All right, so to make this compiler happy, let's make a body, some reducer of self. All right, there we go. So we also want a login button tapped on the view, even though we're going to make eventually have parent objects that manage that, so I don't actually need to do anything in this reducer for it. But let's start implementing our view here. So let's store of login. And then make all this stuff happy. So login.state. Then we have a login reducer. Okay. So let's see. Now we do a with view store. We're going to observe all the state changes. Then that gives us a view store, where in here we're going to have a text field, and it's going to be email, and we have a view store dot binding of credentials dot email. Then we need a secure field of password, view store dot binding of credentials dot password. Okay, and let's see, let's give this padding on leading and trailing. Let's see, we also want to do text field style as rounded border. There we go. And then what else do we want? We need a button with an action of viewstore.send and text login. There we go. So then we have a login button, and let's give this a little bit of style. I know, let's see, we'll make a new group here that contains some view modifiers that we're going to use, and let's do a new, let's see, buttons. So, all right. So let's see. We need a. So I guess let's model this a little bit in the login view here. So what I know I'd like here is button style bordered. Let's see what that gives us. Let's see, we want a background of color.blue. Opacity. Okay, let's see. What I forgot here is we also need this to be so we can see our text, and then we want a corner radius. That looks good. Let's see. We also want some dot padding, leading and trailing of say 20. That looks good. What I need is a way to tell whether this is the credentials are filled out or not, and then we'll disable this button. So we'll say login button enabled. It'll be a bool. So if let's say that our credentials.email.count is greater than 3 and credentials.password.count is greater than 8. And so then we'll do disabled equals not view store dot. Yeah. Okay, so let's see. Yeah, so that's disabled. And if so, then we also want our view store dot login button enabled. Then we want an opacity of 1, else we want 0.5. Let's see. Yeah, there we go. So then if we have, why is this not working? Let's see. All right, let's see. I don't know why it's not letting me type in here. All right, let's make another view that we can test. That has an email of blah. And a password of secret password. This needs to be credentials. All right, let's see. This should give us a view with the button enabled. Yeah, there we go. Not sure why it's not allowing me to type in there, but whatever. Okay. So these are the type of modifiers that I want to make, because I'm going to have another view that's a sign up view that'll have a similar button. So I sort of want to take all of this logic and have a more generic way of implementing all of this. So that's what's going to live in here. So let's do file private button label. It's going to be a view modifier. Whoa. View modifiers have a body. Let's see. Why is this not auto-completing? Oh. This needs to be a struct view modifier. All right. Let's see. Now we should get body. All right. So I want content dot padding dot leading trailing was 20, I think. Yeah, we basically need this stuff. All right. Then extension view function button label. It's going to return some view, and then we just do self modifier and a button label. Okay. So then, let's see here. Now we should be able to say this is a button label. Yep, there we go. All right, now we want to do the same for these. Let's see, file private. We'll just call this shared button style. Content. Function shared button style. Self.modifier shared button style. Let's see. Okay, yeah, so now we need, this has to be a, so if we are enabled, all right, so, all right, so for this one we have to pass in an enabled property, and then we probably can just move the disabled equals not enabled. Okay. So let's see. That was in the wrong spot anyway, so now we want shared button style view store dot login button enabled. All right, let's see how that works. All right, that seems to work. Let's see over here. Yep, so that's working as well. Okay, so that's that. Now we need to do something similar basically for the sign up sheet. We could actually just use this for sign up as well. So we could do, let's make an enum of let's just call it style. It needs to be equatable, and we'll say case sign up or login. And then let's see. So switch self case dot login sign up. These will just be labels for the button here. So let's say variable style equals style dot login. Okay. So then this button name can be viewstore.style.label. Okay. So that will, then let's call this like submit button tapped. All right, I think that should work. That'll allow us to use the same view for sign up and login. So, for example, if I say this style is sign up, it should change the button name here. Yeah, okay. Perfect. So, that should probably be enough to experiment with some of this. So let's see. Let's start doing the main logic for the application that will then sort of build upon. And then, so we need to import the composable architecture. Our main application will have logged out state, which will show that login feature, or then we will have a so logged out state and then a logged in state. So in our main content, we'll make a content that's a reducer. Our state is actually going to be an enum probably here. Currently we will just have, this is going to look a little confusing, but we will, our logged out case will be login, and then enum action, which is equatable. This needs to be equatable too. Logged out login.action. Some reducer of self. Then here we need to use a scope of state.logged_out and action.logged_out. We will then return a login reducer. So that should take care of that. Eventually we'll have like a case logged in here, and that'll be our two kind of flows of the application. Same with here, but we obviously don't have that yet. This is just to sort of set up and play with logging a user in. So, all right, that should do that. This needs to hold on to a store of content. Let's see. Store.init. So this will be content.state.logged_out.init. And this will be a content. Now we will have to fix the main entry point here as well. So this will be content.state.logged_out and content. All right, that should be everything in building order. Not sure what the problem with that is. View modifier. Let's see. What's it telling me here? Round button style corner radius disabled. Not sure why this is being problematic. Content, let's see. Let's see if we just do this. Does that make it work? Let's see, I guess we could just do all of this. Not sure why this isn't working. It should work. But we could just do this, work inside of here. Does that work? Let's see. Okay, it seems happy with that. So now, get back here. Let's see, let's just, logged in view. I'm just going to extract all of this stuff out, and that'll be where we navigate to if we are logged in. Okay, so let's see. Now we need to do a switch store and a case let. So this is a content.state.logged out. The action is content.action.logged out. Then we will do a login view.init store. That should make all of this stuff happy. Right? Oh. Variable body, sum, view. Alright. There. Let's see. Should we build? And then this should show us the login screen. Alright, perfect. So, but we do need to handle, let's see, we need a case receive session, which will be a task result of a session. So for that, we need to import goTrue. Alright, let's see. And then we need a, let's see. So then I guess in here we need to do some more stuff where view did appear. And then on appear view store dot send dot view did appear. All right. Okay. So then here when we get a all right. So now we also need to implement some custom logic. Reduce state action. In switch action. So this will be where we do some custom logic on everything. So let's let Xcode fill this in for us. All right. And currently we'll just return none. Okay. So that should make everything work again. Let's see. All right, yeah. So that's building. So let's see. When here we're going to need access to our auth dependency. All right. So then when the let's see. Then when case.logged-out.view did appear, we need to return .task await receive session. This needs to be a task result of try await auth.login. So this when this view, the logged out view appears, we're going to check if we can log in, where maybe we've logged in the past and our credentials are already stored. Then that will just allow us to automatically go to the logged in. So actually, let's just do, let's say, I don't know how, maybe we just do a default where we just show logged in view. See if this is happy. If we do, let's see, let's copy this, make another one where we're logged in. Not sure if the composable architecture will, yeah, okay, so we're good there. So, then we need to check for case.receiveSession.success sum all right. So really, let's go let session, and we'll print logged in with session state equals dot logged in, return none. All right. So if we get a session, then we should show the logged, or we should show this hello world view. So let's see if that works. And then let's see. So now, I think what I forgot here in Supabase 2 is settings off. We want to allow sign in. Yeah, that's usage, general. There's a setting here I'm looking for that we don't want to send or require email. And I can't find it. Let's see. All right. Anyway, let's create a user, which will allow us not to have to use the confirmation email, and then okay, so then we have a user set up, so we should, in theory, be able to run this and log in with the user that we just created. I don't like how this is auto capitalizing, so we'll probably have to fix that. Secret password. I don't know if it matters or not. Oh, you know what? I didn't do anything here when our login button is tapped. So we need to also handle case.logged_out.submit button tapped, right? Yeah, so do something. All right. So now, I think what the easiest thing to do. All right, so we have the credentials there. So then here we can do. Where are we? All right. So we need to do a task, await, receive session, and we do try await auth.login. Oh no, we actually need to do guard case dot logged out login state. This needs to be caselet login state equals state, else we just return. So here we got to do a little dance just to make sure that for some reason we're not in a different state up here. If we are, then we need this login state inside of our closure here, and then we log in with the login state dot credentials, right? Oh, and then further, this needs to be a task result. Okay, I think that will do it. Let's try to run that, and I think this time when we hit the button, okay, so we got a session and then we logged in. Okay, so now let's see, since we have a session, I think what happens is Supabase behind the scenes stores that, yeah, and so we just go straight, since we did the this view did appear, we're checking for previous sessions, and so that is kind of cool there. And we can, let's see, so sort of see the data that we get back. We get a JWT token, we get a refresh token, we get a user. Okay, so I think that's a good sort of start. It took a long time just to get all that stuff on the screen, but it was important to sort of show the composable architecture style here with how reducers work, and just get sort of a basic scaffolding that we'll build upon from here on out. But my main goal is I wanted to sort of play around with some of the Supabase authentication features. So in the next videos, I will try to add on to here, and we'll be able to create users and create to-dos, and we can have multiple users that'll share a table, but they'll only be able to see their to-dos that they create. But I think this is probably a good stopping point for now, and in the future I will build upon what we've done today. And the awesome thing about the composable architecture is that these pieces could be brought out into their own sort of modules and be depended upon. So that's where things like these dependencies are important to understand, and just wanted to kind of get some of the scaffolding set up. So anyways, hope you enjoyed. Leave comments down below, anything I could do better, and have a great day.